And welcome to week 4 of Upon Further Review. My name is John Henrietto. I'm the sports editor of the Butler Eagle, and I'm flanked by Eagle sports editors Mike Kilroy to my left, Derek Pida to my right. And as always, gentlemen, we are brought to you by our loyal sponsors, Conlon Tarker, Troy Allen Chevrolet Buick GMC, Penn United Technologies, and the Butler Health Systems. And we have to look right away back at week 3, and there were some wild games, to say the least, Mike, and I know you attended one of them, and I want to get right to this game. Karns City at Moniteau, a 20-14 Moniteau victory that ended in what appeared to be at least live in controversial fashion, but now you told me, but maybe not as controversial.
Not as controversial as it appeared to be Friday night. For those who didn't see this, what happened at the end of the Karns City game. Karns City had a 4th and 17. Or Moniteau had a 4th and 17. They were punting back to Karns City down by 6 with a little less than a minute left. The snap gets away from Chance Nagy, who was also the punter. He goes back, gets it, runs a couple yards forward, tries to punt it. It appeared to be blocked live. It goes out of bounds. The officials called roughing the punter. Karns City coaches obviously weren't very happy. Karns City fans obviously weren't very happy. But upon further review, which is also the name of our show,
there you go.
Chris Rossetti, the guru of District 9 Sports, got a hold of the game film from that game and watched it very closely, like the Zapruder films, and determined that the ball actually was not blocked. Somehow, some way, no Karns City player actually touched the football as it was being punted. Then we went back and dug into the rule book and uncovered that in high school football, as soon as you begin the act of kicking again, you once again become a kicker, so you cannot be roughed. So when Karns City smashed into Chance Nagy after he got the punt away, he was indeed a kicker, therefore he was subject to the roughing the kicker rule. And the third thing was 4th and 17, right? Yep. Typically in high school football, a personal foul does not result in a automatic first down. It's marked out 15 yards. Well, there's 3 instances where it's an automatic first down, and one of them, of course, is roughing the kicker. So the officials, who got a lot of heat from Karns City fans and Karns City coaches, were actually right. They actually got the call right. It all hinged from that miraculously it was not blocked. I don't know, from my vantage point up in the press box at Moniteau, which is about a mile away from the field. Anyone who's been at Moniteau knows how far the field. It looked like it was blocked because of the trajectory of the ball.
Right.
But it was off the side of his foot. He just shanked it because he was trying to punt it really quick. I don't know how they saw that it wasn't blocked. Joe Sherwin actually said, the official said, even though it was touched, it was still roughing the punter, which isn't exactly true. I don't know if they were trying to convey that it wasn't touched to him. I'm not sure how that got into the conversation, but Chris Rossetti swears that it was not touched. I didn't see it myself, but knowing Chris Rossetti, I know you probably went back and forth about time after time. I was frame by frame trying to figure out if the ball was touched, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
He did not block the punt, therefore it was a correct call.
Yeah,
I was roughing the punt.
Yeah, I was about to say, Derek, we can picture our buddy Chris Rossetti. I love the guy. He's so intense about high school sports, but I can see him sitting in a dark, dank basement somewhere, playing this film back.
2 in the morning on a Saturday night, which is when we were discussing this, 2-3 in the morning. So
well, let's switch gears here, Derek. Your game, Penn Hills Bar, the 36-15 victory for Penn Hills. Your thoughts on that ball game? Seemed to me that Penn Hills just a little bit too quick and athletic maybe for the play.
I will say this for Mars' defense. We've talked them up this year, rightfully so. They did cause 4 turnovers in that game, but as we said, we believed going into the game, Penn Hills' speed was going to be a little bit too much, and that was the case. I think Penn Hills had 3 touchdowns of 30 yards or more, including an 86-yard run by their receiver, actually. So Mars' defense, still ball hawking, but when you're going up against a team with as much speed as Penn Hills, that can be a big X factor, and it was, as you said, 36-15 loss for the Planets. Their first loss of the season, but that was also their first conference game, so they're going to be trying to get back on track.
Sure. My game was a very difficult one, obviously, for Butler. They get out in the Pine Richland, defending state champions. They lose 63-0 in a game that was 49-0 by halftime, 35-0 at the end of the first quarter. But Butler, which would have been obviously a decided underdog to start with in that game, literally had no quarterbacks going into the game. They lost both this first and second string varsity quarterbacks in practice on Wednesday. Their 2 JV quarterbacks had gotten hurt earlier. So they went with Kyler Callahan, a running back, started him at the quarterback, just didn't go well. I mean, Callahan didn't play poorly, just overmatched, not experienced, and it was a mismatch there.
My question is, what are they doing in practice where they're losing guys like that?
I don't know. They had a 53, Coach Eric Christie told me they had a 53-man roster. They were down to 36 healthy bodies for that game. That's a lot of kids to be out. Yeah. And they lost a couple more during that game, including Byron Manchester, their promising-looking sophomore running back, after the concussion after 3 carries. So tough game for the Tornadoes.
Maybe they can sign Montez Davis since he retired from the Bills at halftime.
Yeah, they could put him somewhere. I'm sure.
Davis.
Derek, I want to mention one game. Seneca Valley, Mount Lebanon. Now, I know you didn't cover this game, but I know you're pretty close with Seneca Valley. They're one of your teams on your regular beat. 17-14 win over Mount Lebanon. What's your take on that one?
My take is Gabe Lawson certainly contributed to the win. He had, I believe, a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. But passing, he was only 5 of 15. I think that's a positive for Seneca. When you go out, your quarterback's not going to go out and light the world on fire every week. Right. This game showed that he can go out and have a so-so game completion-wise, and got a big kick from Seth Winters, which proved to be the difference. So
they found another way to win, in other words.
They did. Yeah. Their defense, the week before they played a Cannon Mac team that had 7 two-way starters out because of an off-the-field incident. They were suspended. So this game was kind of a chance to get Seneca Valley back on the field against a really good offense. You covered Mount Lebanon this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they held Mount Lebanon down. I mean, holding that team to 14 points, that's no easy task.
Yeah, they got a nice looking quarterback in that, Seth Morgan at Mount Lebanon. Mike, in my view, big win for Knoch last week. They were winless going in. They took on a winless Highlands team. A lot of Highlands to come back from a deficit to tie the game, then Knoch dominated the fourth quarter. That's got to be big for them.
They really needed that win, not just
28-21.
Yeah, not just in the standings, but just from a morale perspective. They needed something to go well. The things haven't gone well for them this year. Injuries have piled up. Just games getting away from them. To be able to get this one out, I think is going to be big going forward because they're going to start getting guys back healthy. They're going to start getting some cohesion in that option offense again. We saw it last year towards the end of the year.
Oh, they were good at the end of the year.
So I think this is the first step toward that again. I think they're going to get better and better and better, get healthier and healthier and healthier, and there could be another team at the end of the season that no one's going to want to play.
Yeah, quarterback Chase Mullen and running back Matt Goodland, both with outstanding games. Both ran for well over 100 yards and scored touchdowns. This is a score that, even though they won, this has to be shocking to all of us. North Catholic 14-13 over Central Catholic, and over Central Valley, and they had to scramble to win that game. Derek, what are your thoughts on all of a sudden North Catholic find themselves in a struggle after rolling through the first 3 games?
This game last year was a blowout. Central Valley beat North Catholic, so I got to believe for the players that were back, Zach Rocco included, and Kai Hill Green. There's a lot of guys back from last year's team. They remembered that.
Sure.
And I'm sure they wanted to go out and put their stamp on this game. But to me, a game like this, it's the best of both worlds for Coach Patrick O'Shea. You get the win by the skin of their teeth, but maybe this allows him to, the kids are going to be a little bit more on point in practice this week. Maybe they were getting a little too overconfident because that Central Valley team did not look good coming in. 0-3, yeah, and they had been outscored by a bunch of points in the first 3 games. So maybe this is, you get the win, you stay undefeated, but the kids obviously know that they have to get back on task if they want to keep it going because they got Derry this week, and Derry's a tough opponent.
Every team has a game like this where they go in against an opponent. The kids read the newspaper. They go on the internet. They know coming in what a team has and what they don't have, how they've struggled or how they've been successful. They saw Central Valley. They saw the point differential. They probably saw the record.
The intensity probably wasn't there.
And coming off of the big win against Freeport, they took it to a really pretty decent team. We're going to talk about Freeport here in a minute. So they took it to Freeport. So they're thinking, we're just going to take it to Central Valley. And here they're in the struggle. And like Derek said, I think this is probably the best thing that could have happened in North Catholic. Not only did they win the game, they also got a little taste of, hey, you know what? We can't just show up and blow teams out. We still got to focus on what we need to do. We still got to go out on a Friday night and execute and be sharp. We can't just skate by on our talent. Maybe the Steelers should
Yeah.
learn something from North Carolina.
Well, speaking of Freeport, maybe they took a tough one last week. Elizabeth Forward edging them 27-21. Derek, Freeport may be the best 0-3 team around, I think.
Yeah, and then they, we mentioned at the start of the year the tough 3 games that they had to open the season with Derry, North Catholic, and then Elizabeth Forward.
Yep.
Those are the 3 best teams in that conference. I'm a firm believer in that. Now they get the back half of that schedule.
And they lost a squeaker here last week, and they lost to Derry in overtime. So you have to look at those 2 games too.
So they were very close to being 2-1. As it is, they're 0-3. But now the tables turn in Freeport's favor, I think, because the back half of their section schedule, is going to be not that John Gaylott wants to emphasize this to his team. He wants them to stay on point. He wants them to focus and practice, go out and play hard. But from an outsider's point of view, who Freeport's got left on their schedule is nothing compared to what, Uniontown, Knoch, Burrell, those are all struggling teams. If Freeport stays focused, I still believe they're going to make the playoffs.
Yep, and we as Mike mentioned, we'll get to Freeport in a little bit more detail in just a couple of moments. One other game from last week I want to bring up, and Mike, I know you're close to this game. Slip Rock, tough loss to Sharon, 30-27. Sharon just seems to be a nemesis to them. They always seem to find a number.
Sharon is now 24-6 against Slippery Rock in the 30-game history of this series. Slippery Rock made a valiant comeback in this game. I know that it was a game that went back and forth, and it was a game that Slippery Rock looked like they might have had a foothold on. Then Sharon moved ahead. Then Slippery Rock made a nice comeback. But again, they fall short against Sharon. Now they have another big game coming up against Grove City.
They sure do. Yeah.
As good as Slippery Rock has been, they could be seeing themselves 3-2 here and 2 games behind in the region standings. Not where they wanted to be. When they were just last week, we were talking to 3-0. They could be going to that Grove City game 4-0. I thought this was a big game for Slippery Rock. I still think they passed the test somewhat, even though they lost.
Sure.
They went up against a really good Sharon team with some really good weapons on offense, and for the most part, they were in this game and they kept those guys in check, and they did some good things. Coach Wenderoos will also tell you they didn't do enough good things. Obviously, they come up short on the scoreboard. So we'll see how they respond against Grove City. That should be a really good game.
Well, speaking of standings, let's look at our standings. The 3 of us plus Scoop. Derek, I know you're tracking that. Where do we stand right now?
Well, Scoop is in first place.
Still?
34-7, very impressive record.
Yeah, Scoop is a good record.
John, you and Mike are both 33-8.
Oh, I got you.
I'm falling back to the pack.
Yeah.
Falling back.
I am in
I
last.
haven't been as sharp as I have been.
I am in last place, but not by much. I'm 1 game behind you guys at 32-9. So.
And we're all kind of pushing Scoop a little bit too.
Yeah, he needs it because the guy's getting a little too big for his nest. I think.
Too big for
If this, Scoop's feet seems to be growing a little bit. Seems to be puffing out. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. If this was a pennant race, it would be drawing a lot of attention. But it's pretty impressive stuff.
It would be an American League pennant race.
Yeah, it could be. Wow. It could be. Well, we will switch gears here and move into the over-under segment. And it's my turn to come up with the over-unders. I've come up with 3 of them for you guys. Test your wits a little bit, and we will start out with the North Catholic Trojans, undefeated 4-0. Had been rolling teams up until last week, a narrow 14-13 victory. North Catholic so far this year, through 4 games, are averaging 36 points per game. That's counting the 14 of last week, which dropped that average down a little bit. My over-under for you guys is, through the 10-game regular season, will North Catholic score over-under 375 points? Derek, we'll start with you.
What are they averaging now?
Right now, they're averaging 36. They're averaging 375 points, will be 37.5 points per game. In other words, they would pretty much carry their average through the regular season. Over under 375 for a 10-game regular season for North Catholic. Over under.
I say over. Like I said, this game last week against Central Valley, I think it's going to get them back to being focused. They still have Elizabeth Forward and Derry on their schedule.
They have some tough games coming up.
But they still also get to play Knoch, Uniontown.
They do.
So, those are games where they could put their second string in.
They score 50 or 60 possibly in those games. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think they're going to get back to scoring a lot of points. maybe not this week against Derry, but average-wise, I think they'll score 375 during the regular season.
Mike, over under
I'm gonna say
375.
under. I'm gonna say under for two reasons.
All right.
One, all it's gonna take is another 14, 13
That's
game
true. That's true.
to destroy that average. And secondly, if you look at North Catholic, the games that they've rolled in this year, they've scored almost all of their points in the first half. And they haven't scored hardly any in the second half. So they've been really emptying the bench. So I think that trend's gonna continue. They're gonna be up maybe 35,
Plus the mercy clock kicks
40
in.
points, and then this mercy clock kicks in the second half, and they're not gonna score.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's gonna take, combination of those two is gonna keep them, I don't think it's gonna be much under 37.5. I can see them around 35, averaging about 35, 36.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that's a really good number for an over-under, but I think they're gonna be a little shade under.
I'm going to go slightly under also for the simple reason, I think because of the mercy clock, and they do have a habit of building up big leads in the first half, emptying their bench after. It's going to be tough for any high school team to maintain that kind of scoring throughout a 10-game schedule. So I got to go under also. My next over-under for you guys, we cover 11 football teams, high school teams in the con. Out of these 11 this year, Mike, I'll start with you on this one. Teams finishing at 500 or better.
Oh, geez.
Over under 5.5.
Okay, I gotta look at, okay.
Over
under
it's going to cost them
5.5.
5. Over under is 5.5.
I have all the
finishing
teams here. I gotta go
500 or better.
Just do no, okay, yes, it's one, no, yes, it's
Producer's
two,
trying to hand you a pen if you want.
yes, that's three,
Guess you don't need a
yes,
pen.
that's four, yes, that's five. What's the over
You
under?
don't need it. 5.5.
I'm gonna say six. We're gonna have 6 teams finish.
You're going over.
So
You're going over. Derek, over under 5.5. Area teams finishing 500 or better.
This is regular season.
This is just, the playoffs do not count. This is regular season.
I got us with 7 teams finishing.
Whoa.
So I'm gonna go over.
7
You want me to
teams?
rattle them off? I mean,
Well, before you do, let me mention mine. I'm figuring over also because I figure it's going to come down to Moniteau, Karns City, and Freeport as the 3 questions there. I think 2 of those 3 need to go over 500 to beat the over under here. I think 2 of those 3 will go 500 or better, so I'm going over. But who are your 7 teams? I'm kind of curious to hear this.
Seneca Valley, Marsh, North Catholic, Freeport, Slippery Rock.
Okay.
I'm going Karns City and Moniteau.
You're saying
And I realize that Karns City is 1 and 3.
I only have one of those teams going over 500. I'm not gonna say which because I don't want to get hate mail from from one of the sides. But I think one of those teams is.
I
gonna
stay
get
on the
500.
fence. Karns City and Moniteau will both finish at least 500 in the regular season.
That's why I have 6.
Okay.
But I think one of those teams isn't quite gonna get there.
And my final over-under question for this segment is number of players in Butler County who will score 10 touchdowns or more this season. Over under 4.5. Derek?
I'm going to go
10 touchdowns or more.
Under.
Regular season. It's regular season.
4.5. I can see Gabe Lawson getting there with his rushing. Seneca Valley, Caleb Kimmerer from Slippery Rock, Garrett Ranke. That's the thing. Garrett Ranke has a lot of yards, but
I know, but not a ton of touchdowns anyway.
not a ton of touchdowns. So
And what about a guy like Cody Wise, Moniteau,
Cody
Hunter
Wise,
Jones, and Karns City? You have some candidates here.
Yeah.
There's some candidates.
I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna say what the over under is 4.5.
Over-under's
I'll
4.5.
go 4.
Mike,
I'm
what do you think?
gonna go over because I think you're gonna have 3 just for North Catholic. They're gonna go over 10.
Wow. Okay.
Because, well, we just had a segment about how many points they're going to score. They got
That's true. That's
some
true.
people are going to have to score touchdowns for North Catholic.
But they do use a lot of guys though too. They do use a lot
Well,
of
then they
players.
have a lot of guys who score touchdowns.
They do.
Too.
They do.
So I think we're going to I think we're going to have maybe 6 guys score 10 or more.
I'm going under. I think we're going to have a bunch of guys with 8 or 9. But again, I just think it's hard to maintain it all. I'm going slightly under on this one. So my over-unders were quality questions because we've got differing viewpoints. Those are good over-unders.
A sneaky guy to go over 10
Go ahead.
touchdowns is Austin Romanchak at Freeport.
Oh, good
They're in their soft part of the
Good pick.
schedule, and he runs, he catches passes, and he's going to. I think he's a.
You know what? I never thought of him, to be honest, but that's a pretty good pick.
I think he's a sneaky.
To sneak into the scoring trophy race? Yeah.
I really do. I think if he stays healthy against some of these softer teams, he's going to pile up some touchdowns.
Could be the second quarterback to win it.
And I've got a feeling a guy who is going to end up with a lot of touchdowns. Hunter Jones, I just have a feeling he's going to score a lot before the season's over. That's just a feeling. Man, I'm glad you mentioned Ostermanchek because it's a perfect segue to our next
That's
category.
why I mentioned Ostermanchek.
You're always thinking. It's just
always thinking.
It just doesn't always show, but you're always thinking.
Always
Okay.
thinking.
All right. 0-3 Freeport right now. I mentioned earlier on the show. Pretty good 0-3 football team, but not can because I know what your answer will be if I ask you can, so I'm not even going to ask you that question. Will 0-3 Freeport run the table? Derek, we'll start with you. They close out with Uniontown, Knoch, Deer Lakes, Borough, Mount Pleasant, and then a tricky one in Knoch to close the schedule. Do they run the table the rest of the way in the regular season? Yes or no?
I'll say, I already kind of talked about this earlier. I thought that I apologize.
No,
for
that's
that.
all right. That's all right. No problem.
I think they're going to run the table in the conference. I don't know about that game against.
That's not the question, though. The question is, will they run the table? Will they go? In other words, will they go 6-3?
Yeah,
Answer the question,
right
Derek.
now, I'm going to say no.
You're gonna say no?
But they will make the playoffs because they're going to win the rest of their conference games.
So you're like a knock over Freeport this far out.
I want the truth.
Knoch showed me a lot of fight last week.
They did.
Impressed by that. So yes, I reserve the right to change his pick, and that week actually comes. Right now, I'm picking
Put it
Knoch
down.
to beat Freeport.
He's picking knock over Freeport in week 10.
But
You
Put
were
it
locked
down.
into that pick.
Put it down.
But not the Freeport Yellow Jackets will make the playoffs by winning out in conference play, but they will lose to Knoch at the end of the regular season.
Mike does not win or knock. You got me thinking knock now. Does Freeport win out? Yes, sir.
I agree completely with what Derek said. They went out in the conference.
And lose. They lose.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say they went out. I say they beat Knoch.
You're gonna say they
I'm
beat
just going to say they beat Knoch. But of course, I'm making a prediction in a game in week 10 and 11 or whatever you want to call it, and week 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot of football to be played in between. You never know what's going to happen with both teams, injury-wise and other factors. But right now, when I look at their schedule, I don't see a section game that it's even going to be semi-close on their schedule.
I
think they're
disagree.
going to roll.
I think they could stub their toe against Borough.
I don't
I
think
think
so.
they could. I think they could.
Burrow.
No, there'll be no toe stubbing.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I
Toes will not be stubbed.
I apologize, Yellow Jackets, but I think they will stumble one more time. I'm going to say no. They're not going to
I
win.
will say this: that Freeport Knoch game is going to be a really interesting and really good game because I think by the end of the season, Knoch is going to be a scary team. I think by the end of the season, Freeport's going to be a scary team.
Yeah.
If both teams get healthy or stay healthy, I think that could be one of the best games of the year last week, even though it really doesn't mean much as far as playoffs go for either of those teams.
We will move on to our next segment. That is a surprise package segment. Mike, we'll start with you on this question. What is your biggest surprise of the local high school football season so far this year? With teams that played 4 games in most cases, I know Freeport only played 3, but most teams that played 4 games. What's your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise is Karns City's 1-3. It's been a long time since the Karns City team has been 1-3. I haven't looked it up, but I can't think of many seasons in the last 20 years when they've been 1-3. And what's surprising to me is they're only a couple plays away from being 4-0. They had leads or were tied in the fourth quarter in every one of those games. So if you look at things go, they get a good bounce, things go right here or there. They could be 4-0. We could be talking about, oh, here we go, Karns City, new coach, doesn't matter, 4-0. Now they're not that far away from being a really good team. But the surprise to me is that they did get off to this 1-3 start, and they were really sloppy in the first half against Moniteau. That surprised me because Karns City usually doesn't make that many mistakes, and those mistakes don't usually pile up like they did in the first half of that game against Moniteau. They played much better in the second half, but the damage was done in the first half, 14-0 hole. So that's the most surprising thing to me is that Karns City has stumbled out of the gate at 1-3.
I'm going to say my biggest surprise so far is this Seneca Valley being 3-1 and it's very close being 4-0 because they gave Central Catholic quite as scared Derek with their backup quarterback in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought Seneca Valley would be decent. I'm not trying to diss them in any way, shape, or form, but they are playing extremely well. They beat some high quality teams already, and as I mentioned, gave Central Catholic quite a scare. Seneca Valley could go on. I think they could go on to a much better year than a lot of people thought. So I'm going to pick the Raiders as my biggest surprise this year. Derek, what's your thoughts?
I'm going with a 2-2 team in Moniteau. I'm looking at their schedule, and I'm just trying to put myself back before the season. If I would have looked at these opening 4 games, Kane, Clarion, Ridgeway, and Karns City. And I realize Kane's not as good as I thought they were, but let's face it, Moniteau had a lot of question marks entering the season too. based mostly on the fact that they had a small roster.
Yeah, 28 players, that's it.
They beat Kane, they lost to Clarion, lost to Ridgeway, beat Karns City. I honestly would have picked, a month ago, I would have said Moniteau was going to be 0-4 after 4 games. I don't
Really?
I would have.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have seen a game on in those 4 that I would have picked them to win. And here they are, 2-2, chance to go 3-2. They host Bradford this week. You got to give a lot of credit to Bob Robbins. When you're dealing with small numbers,
First-year head coach, too.
first-year head coach, and depth is obviously not on their side in a lot of positions. So he's putting guys in the right places. Maybe you could say he's getting a little lucky with not having a big injury here or there, but I think they've done a heck of a job up there. And they've set themselves up 2-2. They haven't buried themselves, and they could have a good rest of the season.
Yeah, we've talked about this, I think, either last week or week before about Monteau's. Yeah, Monteau only has 28 players, but look, the 28 guys they have are really good football players.
Plus they're scrappy football players,
And
too.
11 that they have out on their own defense are really good football players. That defense, that to me is one of the most aggressive, hard-hitting defenses I've seen at any level in high school football. They fly around.
Better than Steelers, that's for sure.
They tackle. They're one of the better tackling teams I've seen. They don't miss a tackle.
Which, you know what?
So when you have a defense like that and an offense that's just good enough, which I think their offense is going to get better, but right now it's just good enough. They're going to be in a lot of games. They're going to win. They're going to pull out some games because of that defense.
I'm glad you mentioned that, too, because in past years when Moniteau's had their stronger teams, it's usually been because they score a lot of points. They've had some teams over there that have had high-flying offenses, right, and they have rarely based winning seasons over there on defense. But I agree with you. I think this year's team, it's based on that
They
defense.
had 4 breakdowns against Clarion. No, it's 4 touchdowns Clarion got before the garbage time one Clarion got. Karns City earned every single yard that they got last week against Moniteau. Moniteau, like Coach Rotman even told me after the game, he said, we haven't really given up a sustained drive that resulted in points yet this year. And that's because their front 7 is so good. Their front 7 is one of the best front 7s, I think, in Moniteau history. Their linebackers are just crazy good. And that's going to win them a lot of games this year because they're going to be able to play good defense.
Well, let's move on to our pick segment. This is next up. Of course, we go through every game of the coming week, pick our winners and losers. As I mentioned earlier, we have such a close race going on here. Every pick becomes more and more critical to all of us, including Scoop. And of course, you'll see Scoop's picks in Thursday's edition of the Butler Eagle. Seneca Valley at Butler to start off. Seneca, as I mentioned, 3-1. They're my surprise team so far of the year. Playing a Butler team that Butler's banged up. They're winless. They've been mercy ruled 4 straight games. Personally,
What are you trying to say, John?
I don't see the Eagle Traveling Trophy changing hands.
So what
Let's
you're
put it
saying
that
is
way.
there's a
Put it that
chance.
way. No, but there's always a chance. Derek will tell them that there's always a chance,
There's
but
always a chance.
not gonna happen this week.
Step on the field, you have a chance.
You do. I'm going to go Seneca Valley. I'm going to say 35-7. Derek, what do you think?
Seneca Valley's offense they can basically pick and choose what they want to do this week. You want to get Gabe Lawson back on track. He was only 5 of 15 passing last week. You want to get that running game going, which aside from Lawson, the running backs numbers have been a little pedestrian this year. They can do whatever they want. They can focus on the passing game, running game. Defense is going to be too much for Butler. That defense is hard hitting. It's got speed. 45-13, but it's not even going to be that close. Seneca Valley.
Mike?
Well, the traveling trophy isn't going to be traveling again.
It hadn't traveled for a while, unfortunately for Butler.
But I will say this is a robbery game.
It is.
Everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong for
The
Butler.
game is at Butler.
The game's
It's at
out. They're due for something semi-good that they go for them. It's baby steps. I've said this in the
That's right.
past. It's baby steps for
Absolutely.
Butler.
Yep.
This would be a first baby step for Butler. I think Butler's going to play a much better game this week. I still think Seneca's. I don't think this would not be a mercy rule game.
No.
I'll predict this
Okay.
right now. It's not going to be. It's going to be 35-14. Seneca. It's
Seneca.
going to be close, but I think Butler's going to do just enough to kind of keep this one interesting for a while. Because it is a rivalry game. Like I said, everything that could go wrong is going wrong for Butler. I do believe that these kids and Coach Christie are going to get them pumped up for this game. So, with that being said,
You know what?
I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive the first 4 games.
I've been covering Butler, and I will say this for them. Last weekend, at lost to Pine Richland, they were, like I said, it was 63-0. It was 63-0 early in the fourth quarter. Butler took possession with 11:45 left in the fourth quarter. Again, it was with the mercy clock running, but still, that they grounded out 4 or 5 first downs, running the ball, killed off the rest of that quarter, and then they probably would have scored, but they ran out of time. They got inside Pine Richland's 20. That showed me, at least that showed me that Butler's kids, they're not quitting. I mean, no matter how lopsided these scores have been, they're still playing hard. So that's why I think they'll at least give them a semi-battle at the very least come Friday night. Ambridge at Knoch. Ambridge 1-3, Knoch 1-3. Knoch got off the schneid last week. They're playing an Ambridge team that got blasted by Blackhawk last week, 48-6. They've been shut out in their other 2 losses. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. How do you feel about Knoch hosting Ambridge?
This one is one of the harder ones to pick this week. Knoch's always traditionally been hard to pick, especially since they've gone to this option offense, because you just never know what's going to happen week to week. But I just have a gut feeling. I think Knoch's going to keep it rolling. I think Knoch's going to win a low-scoring, close game, 18-17.
I would say I disagree in the sense I don't think it's a hard game to pick. I think Ambridge can't score. I think Knoch at the very least they does score with the triple option. I'm going to say Knoch wins 28-7.
Ambridge ended their long losing streak earlier this year with a 14-0 win over Waynesburg. It went back, I think the last time Ambridge had won a game was like 2015 or something like that. They beat Waynesburg this year. Other than that game, Ambridge has been outscored 119-6. This game's pretty easy for me to pick. I'm going to say 27-14 Knoch.
Okay. We switch an intriguing game at Mars this week. Armstrong comes to town sporting a 3-1 one-loss record. Armstrong's only lost 21-17 to Chartiers Valley, and they blew out Albert Gallatin, of course, who doesn't, but they blew out Albert Gallatin 48-0 last week.
Sorry, Albert Gallatin.
Yeah, sorry, but
if anyone from Albert Gallatin's watching, we're sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
But you are getting blown out.
They are, but Armstrong is coming to Mars. Derek, I know you're pretty close with the Planets, but you're taking this game.
I don't think this is going to be an easy game. Armstrong's 3-1. Their only losses to a strong Chartiers Valley team.
Close game, too.
In a close game, and Mars is dealing with injuries. They had 2 on the offensive line last week, another one to their linebacking core. But I'm going on the fact that Mars has not lost their first 2 conference games since 2003. How about that?
Ooh, I didn't know that.
15 years ago was the last time Mars lost their first 2.
That's some research right there, buddy. That's some research going on there.
Scott Heinauer was a young pup back then.
Yeah, he was.
He was a young pup, but obviously they lost to Penn Hills last week. That was a conference game, so I don't see them losing back-to-back conference games. I got Mars winning this one. I think it's going to be a close game. Mars pulls away late, 29-16.
Yeah, I think Mars wins, but I think this has the makings of a real dogfight. I think Armstrong's going to really come in and put up a major fight. But I'm going with the Planets in a very close game, 27-21. I'm going with Mars. Like
Mars is not going to lose 2 conference games in a row. Mars is going to fix the problems that they had last week. Mars is going to roll in this game. I just have a feeling Mars is just going to take it to Ambridge. They can get off to a big early lead. Garrett Ranke's going to break out with 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
Mars is going to win 35-7.
Whoa, no love for Armstrong there. No respect for the 3-1.
I just have a feeling that this is a game.
Wow, I know.
This is a game where Mars is just going to pounce. And that defense is good. We've been talking all year about how good that defense is. And they're going to get some explosive plays on offense. Garrett Ranke, 4 touchdowns.
So the Riverhawks, they're going to drown, in other words. They're drowning.
I'm going to pounce on that spread on Friday night. I'll tell you.
Riverhawks are drowning. Oh, man, I'll tell you. Wow. Battle of the Unbeaten's coming up. We got North Catholic 4-0. They're heading to the Derry area, which is also 4-0. I'll tell you what. This is another reason why I continually call Freeport the best 0-3 team around here. Remember, Derry had to go to overtime to beat Freeport. Derry's other 3 victories, 48-7 over Mount Pleasant, 27-6 over South Park, and 45-15 over Latrobe. Mike, this Derry team is, I think, they're pretty good, and I'm going to pick this one first. I say North Catholic wins, but I don't think this is going to be a blow up by any stretch. I'm going with North Catholic in this game, 28-17.
Again, I just completely disagree with you. North Catholic.
You always disagree with me, but that's
North Catholic's going to be supremely motivated after that near miss last week. The three teams you mentioned that Derry beat, what's their combined record?
Oh, I know they're not real good, but they should blow them out, and they did blow them out though. So
North Catholic's going to blow out Derry.
Wow, man, you're pretty cool with some of the other teams. You're pretty cool.
38-12, North Catholic.
All right, Derek, which way are you going there?
I'm following Mike on this. I think the worst thing for Derry regarding this game was North Catholic played a subpar game last week against Central Valley.
Exactly.
North Catholic's going to come into this game. They're going to be focused. I'm sure Patrick O'Shea is going to work them hard in practice this week. I don't think it's going to be mercy rule or anything like that, but when you got two 4-0 teams going up against each other, you expect a closer game than 34-14, and that's what I'm picking, North Catholic 34-14.
So lonely to be the guy in charge. That's okay. You guys, that's all right. You guys can go your way. I'm telling you.
We all picked them to win.
Yeah, we did. I think.
I just think it's going to happen in different ways.
I think you're disrespecting Derry a little too much. I think Derry's got a pretty good team, but we'll see how it goes. Freeport at Uniontown, battle of winless teams. The Jackets 0-3. Uniontown is 0-4, and Mike, we'll start with you on this one. Uniontown is not stopping anybody. They gave up 64 points in their first game, or was that last week? I'm not sure. 64 points, 42 points, 47 points, and 61 points. They're stopping nobody. Freeport is angry. They're hungry for a win. What are your thoughts on this game?
This is going to be an ugly, ugly game. You're right. Freeport played really good against against two of the three games. They played really well. North Catholic was just North Catholic that night against Freeport. Uniontown, obviously, you just read off their stats. They're
not stopping anybody. They're just not.
Yeah, they're beyond struggling.
The Steelers.
Oh, no.
Not that.
That's another topic. That's another topic for another time.
So Freeport's gonna get healthy real quick in this game. This is gonna be a 49-14 final for Freeport.
Okay. Derek, what are your thoughts on this one?
Uniontown.
I know you're from that area up there.
Uniontown's I'd love to say this. Uniontown's team was going to put up a good fight this week and then make it close. No, this game is exactly what the doctor ordered for an 0-3 football team. Freeport goes down there. It's Freeport. Freeport has the long bus ride, but it's not going to matter. 44-6, and that's being generous.
Whoa.
This is going to give Freeport more time to froth at the mouth about getting out on the field and playing a game against Uniontown. That long bus ride.
Yeah, I'm going Freeport 41-14. I agree with you guys on this one.
The only way
someone is going to pay for Freeport's frustration. It's going to be Uniontown.
The only way Freeport loses this game if the bus gets lost and they don't show up. That's it.
I'll also remind you
that's
five combined touchdowns.
For those who don't know, Derek is from the Connersville area, from the beautiful town of Dawson. So he knows that Uniontown area well. But
where there's no creek, so there's no Dawson's Creek.
There's no Dawson's Creek.
He's not Pacey.
Okay, let's just move on from
I don't say
that.
Pacey though.
Again, let's just move on from that. Karns City at Brookville, two teams that are 1-3, and Derek Brookville, Jack Krug, outstanding quarterback. He's been hurt, shoulder injury, hasn't played since week 2. Don't know what his status is this week. Brookville's already started 3 different quarterbacks. It might be 4 quarterbacks.
I think it's 4.
Yeah, I think it's 4 now. Brookville does get their outstanding receiver back, Ryan Dwarwick. He came back last week, had 8 catches for 65 yards in a competitive loss to Clarion, 28-15. What are your thoughts on KC Brookville?
They're starting their 4th quarterback now, and assuming, I don't know if this is the case or not, but assuming they start the same quarterback this week as they did last week, a sophomore named Robert Keff played against Clarion, threw for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns against Clarion. That tells me the kid's young, but he's got some talent. As you said, they got their big receiver back in Brian Dwork. I don't like this matchup for Karns City. They might still be playing that game against Moniteau over their heads. And if that's the case, that's not good. You have to stay on task. You have to prepare for the next game. The game's at Brookville. I see Brookville pulling out a close one, 23-21 over Karns City.
I'm going the other way on this one. I think the Karns City will respond to the Moniteau loss in a positive way. I think anytime Karns City loses to Moniteau, that's like poking a hornet's nest. Karns City is a very prideful program. They're 1-3. They're not used to being 1-3. I'll guarantee they hate being 1-3. they're going to do something about it this week. They're going to go up to Brookville and they're going to defeat the Raiders. I'm going to say 21-14, Karns City. Mike?
Karns City is way too talented to start 1-4. Like we said earlier, they're only a couple plays away from being 4-0. I don't care who's going to start at quarterback for Brookville. Karns City is not going to lose this game.
Even if Jack Krug's back and playing?
Even if Jack, I just believe that Karns City is going to find a way to win this game.
Swing game.
They're gonna clean up some of the mistakes that have dogged.
It is a swing game, you're right.
They're gonna clean up some of the mistakes that's dogged them for the first 4 weeks, and they're gonna put it to Brookville pretty good. I think 28-14. I don't think it's gonna be that close. I think Brookville scored late to make it 28-14. But I think Hunter Jones has a big game.
Okay. Bradford, they're making a long trip south for them. Well, anything south for them. Bradford coming to Moniteau. Both teams are 2-2. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. The Warriors, obviously, with the huge win over Karns City last week. The Bradford Owls losing 28-7 to Ridgeway last week. Your thoughts on Bradford Moniteau?
Moniteau is going to keep it going. Again, it's going to be because of Moniteau's defense. Chance Nagy's starting to play really well at quarterback. Last week it was weird. They were lining Cody Wise up almost like a wing. They were almost running like a wing T last week, and Martino was running more for them. Both of those guys are big backs, really bullish backs. I think Monteau's going to dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Their linebackers are going to again be swarming and aggressive, and I don't think Bradford's going to be able to score enough to beat Monteau. Monteau's going to win. I'm going to say 14-6.
Here's the big stat that will doom Bradford coming down to Moniteau this week. Bradford lost 5 fumbles last week. If you're a team that has a habit or that's capable of putting the ball on the ground that much, and you're playing a team that hits, as you say, like Moniteau hits, that's a bad combination. I see Moniteau forcing some turnovers, winning this game. In fact, I see Moniteau potentially could start to go on a roll right now. I think they're going to beat Bradford handily, 34-13. Derek, your thoughts on this one?
Bradford, you could be in downtown Bradford and spit, and your spit lands in New York. That's how far north these guys. That's how big of a trip they have in front of them. I like Moniteau in this game. I will say this year Moniteau is my Knoch. I'm 1-3 in Moniteau game this year. The only game I got right was the game they lost to Clarion. The other 3 games I got wrong. So this might not be good for Moniteau. I'm picking Moniteau to win this game. I think it's going to be a little closer to the 28.
Well, you said you thought they'd be 0-4, and you picked them to lose 4 weeks, so you were true to your word there. But on this week, I think you're right, though.
28-21 Warriors.
I'm not a long range spitter though, so I would have to stand on. I would have to stand on the state line to get.
How did this conversation evolve in the spitting?
I'm just analyzing that. That's all. All right, let's go. Elk
It's like
County.
the Seinfeld episode with the magic spit.
But anyway, Elk County Catholic at Union AC Valley. Elk County Catholic is 2-2. Union AC Valley 1-3. Coming off a rather wild game against Otter Eldred. Derek, what do you start with you on this one? Your thoughts on this matchup?
I think aside from their opening game this year, they got crushed by CL 40-0. Union AC Valley has shown the capability of scoring this year. I think the problem in most games is going to lie with their defense. In this game, I think Elk County is just going to score a few more points than Union AC can account for. I see the Crusaders winning 27-18.
Yeah, Elk County Catholic rolled Port Allegheny last week. Allegheny may not have much, but it's 60-0 wins and 60-0 win. 332 yards rushing for Elk County Catholic. I think it's a little bit too much for Union AC Valley's defense. Elk County Catholic wins this game. I'm going to say 38-20.
Yeah, Union AC Valley is one of those teams that's just good enough to make things interesting in every game they play, but not quite good enough to beat teams like Elk County Catholic. So I think this is going to be another one of those games where it's going to be interesting. Union AC Valley is going to keep it close. They're going to be in striking distance. They're going to toy with the winning. But Elk County Catholic is just going to find a way to win. I think it's going to be 35-21. Elk County Catholic.
All right. Grove City at Slipper Rock. Grove City, of course, 4-0. They've romped through 4 games. Slipper Rock 3-1, coming off a heartbreaker versus Sharon there. Mike, I know you're close to both of these programs. Your thoughts on this matchup? Grove City the last couple of years, it's just been a powerhouse team. Will Slip Rock go in there and fight with them?
This is another intriguing game. This is a really interesting game. Brady Callahan's the quarterback for Grove City. He's thrown 10 incomplete passes this whole year.
Oh, I know.
His career completion percentage is almost 70%, maybe a little bit more than 70% now. That's unheard of in high school football. I don't care if you are a little dink and dunk team like Grove City can be. They do a lot of short passing. You still got to deliver a ball on target. And Logan Lutz is still there, and Tyler Greer is still there. Carter Chin's back from a broken leg. Grove City has so many weapons, and what's often overlooked with Grove City over the years is because their offense has put up such great numbers, is how good their defense is. Their defense is very stout. That being said,
So what are you trying to say?
Slippery Rock is also better than they were. Last year was 28-0 Grove City.
Right.
Slippery Rock's defense has improved, I believe. Slippery Rock's offense has improved. I don't think they're improved enough. I think Grove City wins this game, but it's going to be closer than a lot of these matchups have been in the past. I think Grove City wins 28-14 this year.
Okay. Derek, your thoughts? Grove City or Slippery Rock?
So, I mean, I'm not going to let last week's loss to Sharon get me down on Slippery Rock, but this week the opponent's just too tough. I know Slippery Rock's defense is improved. It's good, but you're going up against a high-powered Grove City attack. I see this game basically being a close game for the most part. I see Grove City pulling away late, with a late touchdown. Grove City 30-17.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you that analysis, Derek. I think Slippery Rock will hang in. Mike, you'll be covering that game. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere up there. It's going to be a packed house. It's going to be something.
Last week, Karns City Moniteau had a lot of fans. This one's going to top.
Yeah.
That stadium's going to be packed.
But I agree. Grove City just a little bit too much on both sides of the football. Although I think Slippery Rock's defense will hold Grove City down a little bit. Score is going to be somewhat lower than what Grove City is used to. I say Grove City over Slippery Rock 27-14. Takes us to our last game. Port Summit Academy, they're 0-4. They haven't scored yet. They're home on Saturday afternoon against East Allegheny. East Hour is 2-2, and they won their last two, so they're rolling. Summit, every week we say they're going to score this week. They're going to score this week. I'm still going with that. They're going to score, but they're going to lose. I'm saying East Allegheny wins this game 35-6. Mike, let's go to you.
Just the law of averages, you got to think Summit's going to score this week. I mean, 4 straight weeks, that's a long time. Any level not to score.
Oh, sure.
And from talking to the coach Shearer for the season, he was high on his skilled guys. But again, I think their line, that's always been their problem. I think their line might not be very good this year. I think they score. I think East Allegheny wins 28-8. I'm going to go something like that.
Yeah. The other problem is, Derek, when a team doesn't score for this long, it starts to get inside your head too, which compounds the problem. I mean, it's really hard to break a streak like that. Your thoughts on East Allegheny?
It is tough. It becomes a mental thing, but it ends this week. It ends.
It ends.
Summit
It
Academy
ends.
scores.
It ends.
They lose to East Allegheny 37-8, but Herman will be jumping because Summit Academy scores.
They score. They're going to score.
37-8.
Okay, we go into our final segment, and that's when we take a weekly look at some other sport besides football. In the end, how about category, and in mine this week is how about Lindsay Galbraith of the Knoch girls soccer team. She scored 2 more goals on Saturday in a heartbreaking loss, double overtime loss for Knoch to North Catholic. This girl is closing in on 100 career goals. That's a big deal at Knoch. Only Amanda Sharbaugh has done that. To me, it's especially impressive when you've got a girl like Lindsay Galbraith who's scoring, who's going to hit the 100-goal plateau on a team where she's clearly the go-to player. Well, she's the one other teams have to stop.
Well, it just shows you how good she is. Everyone in the stadium knows that she's going to be the person they're going to go to get goals, and she still gets them. That just shows you how talented she is. 100 goals in high school soccer.
No small team. Yeah.
That's like 1,000 points in basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't know.
It's averaging 25 goals a year for 4 years, and a lot of these kids don't play much as freshmen. It's
one of the best milestones in high school sports. So congratulations to Lindsay. being in the same company with a
Amanda
woman,
Sherbaugh,
woman like Amanda Sherbaugh only cements her status as one of the best players in Knoch girls soccer history.
Yep.
She's obviously going to get it to that milestone. She's really close, and it's still early in the season. Just kudos to her for a fabulous career.
And we should mention, she's going to company with an Amanda Sherbaugh, who went on to Gannon University and set the scoring record there too. So Amanda Sherbaugh was a fantastic
Amanda Sherbaugh
player.
is now a soccer referee. I don't know if you guys know.
I did not know that.
Yes,
I did not know that.
I saw her a couple times last year at soccer games as a ref. So.
Derek, your thoughts on the 100-goal plateau in high school soccer, boys or girls? It is certainly meaningful, but again, I think it's that much more impressive when you're doing it as the big scorer for your team for pretty much her entire career.
Yeah, you kind of stole my thunder there with, you do it over 4 years, you say, okay, it's an average of 25 goals per year, but most of them, if they score 5 or 6 goals as a freshman, that's good.
Right.
So it's much more like over 30 goals a year that you're scoring to get to the plot to this milestone. But another thing, Knoch is in a tough section. They're in the same section with Karns.
Yeah.
Kiski's really good this year. Hampton's in that section. I know right now Knoch's struggling a little bit. There are a few games under 500 in that section. Kevin Wood's doing a great job with that team. But this can be something that the program can kind of hang their hat on. You're struggling as a team, but I think the younger girls coming up see somebody attain something great, and it can kind of drive other girls to kind of go after that feat themselves.
Derek had a great point there about the section they play in. Goals are hard to come by in that section most of the time, so it's even more impressive that she's getting to that plateau. I'd be curious to see the percentage of goals that she has scored of Knoch's goals in her career.
It's got to be. I'll tell you, it's got to be
75%.
It's pretty high.
So that's puts even more of a emphasis on how amazing her career has been.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lindsay Galbraith right now, as we do this show, I believe she's less than 10 goals away from 100. We'll certainly be following that, and when she hits 100, you'll certainly be reading about that in the Butler Eagle Sports section. And that wraps up this week's show, and we will catch y'all next week for what? Week 5? I'm losing track. Is it week 5 next week? Whatever it is. We'll be back next week.
Week something.
No matter what it is, we're back next week.